Hey guys, the Firebird is here. My hands are back for a toy review. Today we're gonna be reviewing Studio Series 75 Jolt. And I have quite a few things to say about our good old friend Jolt here. Some good, some bad, and some in between. Just to answer the question, should you buy this guy? Now Jolt here is an interesting figure. There's a lot of stuff I like about him. I think he's very cool, and I'm glad that we finally have a Jolt figure. Ignore that piece that just fell. But no figure is above criticism, and Jolt here is no exception. So in this video, we're gonna be tackling that question. But first, some good old lore. You might recognize Jolt as that one Autobot who appeared in Revenge of the Fallen for, I wanna say, less than 30 seconds. And you wouldn't be mistaken. For the longest time, we have plenty, and I mean plenty, of Jolt figures that were very, screen inaccurate. A Studio Series Jolt, on the other hand, is the first time we have an actually screen accurate Jolt with his iconic whips. And yeah, it only took us like about a decade for us to finally get an accurate Jolt. And I think this guy does the job really well. Even the package itself reveals stuff that we didn't know about this guy. Here, this is his actual face. When you probably looked at his face on Google, you probably see this image right here. And that's actually based on the concept art. Here is how he actually looks like in the movie itself. As you guys can see, it's something that Studio Series does ridiculously well is the CGI. This is amazing. I wish we had a full render of this so I can use it. Hopefully you guys can't see my face through this through the plastic. Here's like a better look at him with his whips. This is making Transformers history, believe it or not, because we never had a full like concrete look at how this guy looked like. I mean, there are a few, fan renders here and there, but this is like the most accurate Jolt, official Jolt we have gotten. And that has also caused quite a bit of debate where people are saying this is actually inaccurate, or this is actually accurate and the other things don't no longer matter. And like, it spawns some kind of useless arguments for a character that, only appeared for like 30 seconds. But hey, people can do whatever they want. So first off, I'm going to talk about some downsides of the packaging. Now the packaging comes with this background, the backdrop. And if you guys seen it, the backdrop is the Battle of Chicago. As you guys may know, Jolt never appeared in this battle, the Battle of Chicago. You can clearly see that this is the Chicago Bridge with Optimus Prime fought Sentinel Prime. So right off the bat, that's something that bothers me. It's not accurate, and I know it's gonna bother a lot of people, and I can already see the Jolt was in Dark of the Moon theories, which may or may not have recorded one for a future video, and I might not be ashamed of it. But that's besides the point. Besides that, we're still not done with the packaging. The packaging, aside from the potential not this being an inaccurate CGI look for Jolt, the backside also is very misleading. Here it says Pyramid Desert Battle. Now, tell me something. Do you see any pyramids here? Cause I sure don't. And aside from that, at least the Revenge of the Fallen logo's there, which I guess it's good, and they got the name right, which with everything else that they got wrong, I'm surprised they got those two things right. That's such an easy thing to fix, I don't know why they didn't fix it. But besides that, let's talk about some things that are wrong with our good old friend Jolt instead. First off, let's get some dramatic lighting. That's right guys, do any other Transformers toy reviewers have color lights? Yeah, I don't think so. Actually, they probably do, and someone's gonna tell me that in the comments down below, and they're gonna call me an idiot. But that's besides the point. Anyways, let's talk about some negatives about the figure itself. First of all, I feel like maybe this is a problem with my copy, but sometimes like the joints here are not the most stable. Like sometimes, I mean, like here, he's holding the hand pretty well, but sometimes when I wanna like, have the hand just be up, sometimes it falls. Well, wow, now it's not falling. Wow, I say something mean about you, you tried to prove me wrong, is that it? Like, it doesn't happen all the time, but this mostly happens when he's holding the whips. Because, I mean, the whips are honestly pretty long, so him trying to hold it sometimes, because of gravity, just makes them fall. I feel like this is a 50-50 thing, like sometimes he holds it pretty well, sometimes he doesn't hold it pretty well. A big problem that I do have with this figure is probably, and that's probably gonna bother a lot of people, is the backpack. because the backpack does kind of get in the way of quite a few things, and it's not very stable. Like here, as you can see right here, there's actually a couple of dots that are supposed to connect to these dots over here for the backpack, and you're supposed to, like, you know, squeeze it, make it, you know, connect, but it doesn't like do a pretty good job of it, and like it disconnects pretty easily, and sometimes even trying to connect these two becomes a pain. Like, I think I just did it, but like it comes up pretty easily, especially if you're moving the figure around. Then sometimes that, yeah, just like that, it disconnected, which is a major problem. Another problem that this figure has in particular are the legs. The legs, in my opinion, look pretty cool, but then you notice one thing. In this thing right here, this car panel, the instructions kind of tell you to like keep the legs like this, like the panels here. And I think even the packaging does, as a matter of fact. A lot of the renders actually have it like this. And for the most part, if you want to get him into some decent poses, you're going to have to keep the wheels like this, just so you can have more breathing room with this. You can just, you know, make it more mobile. I feel like this messes with the legs quite a bit, because it kind of limits what you can do with the legs especially. He also kind of falls for chicken-legged syndrome. Like, his legs are a bit like weird and awkward. Maybe it's my copy, but these I feel are a bit stiff sometimes. And the problem is that these keep colliding with the backpack, which makes this unplug and makes your pulsing with the legs a bit more tricky. You actually have to like put in quite a bit of effort to pulse him properly, as you can see here. Also, I wish you could like move the legs here a bit more. I mean, that's all you're gonna get, and hopefully he doesn't fall. I mean, he can stand up. Of course, when I say that, he falls. I mean, he can stand up pretty well. My problem is that he doesn't like always, you know, accurately is able to stand up. Sometimes like he stands up pretty well, and you know, that's about it. Other times he struggles a bit more. Like, I feel like pulsing him is awkward and it's a bit of a pain. Like with the arms, I don't think there's any problem. I think that's good. The legs, as you can see here, sometimes there's like this weird stabilization issue where one of the legs is like higher than the other one, while the other one's like just hanging in there. You really need to like work to get like some really good leg positions with him. This figure has a pretty cool gimmick where you can like take the the thingy of him off and plug in the electro whips. I don't have a single Transformers figure that does something like this. I feel like this was incredibly creative by part of the designing team. This is actually a compliment. Something that the instruction says that you should do with the fingers is that you are supposed to plug them here, right next to the car panel. There's like a small little hole in which you can place it, and it's kind of frustrating because I mean, sometimes it goes all the way through, sometimes it doesn't. Like, I feel like it sticks pretty well. Okay, you know, I shake this, it's not falling, which it's good and all. But the problem is that when it comes to like the actual figure itself and like pulsing it, and if you want to use this for stop motion, that's gonna be a pain. Because I mentioned before that I feel like the thing that's holding this figure back is the legs and the backpack. The backpack is not very well secure, and the legs because this thing keeps colliding with this. Well, now with this, you have to be wary of the arms and how you move this, because, you know, at any second, if this collides with this, these are gonna fall, and like, good luck getting them back in. I mean, they go in pretty easily, but it's like kind of a pain. Like, I don't want to keep on doing that. And yeah, I mean, that's all the negative I had to say about it. But there's one more thing, and viewer beware. When you transform him, holy hell, is the transformation pretty painful. I'm gonna go over the transformation in a little bit, but just letting you know, be really careful, because I kind of broke my figure with the transformation because this doesn't tap properly. When it comes to like transforming him, you know, the back of the car, it's a bit of a pain to transform. And even when you transform the figure itself into car mode, I feel like having the figure be stable, you know, like tight, lock and loaded, it's a very tricky thing to do, and you could probably damage your figure. So that's what I'm saying. If you do get this figure, and since I have this guy, I plan to either keep him in royal mode or vehicle mode. I'm not gonna use him for, you know, stop motion. Well, I probably will, but I'm gonna try and limit the amount of times he transforms, because transformation is very tricky, and I don't want to damage this thing even more. But anyways, that's it for the negatives. Let's now talk about some positives, and we need some positive lighting. So first off, and this should come as no surprise, this figure looks amazing. I do feel like you can get him into quite a few good positions. His head moves, it looks amazing. I think he's extremely screen accurate, probably the most screen accurate Jolt we ever had. Vehicle mode, despite, not locking pretty well and being kind of a pain to get to, I still feel it looks pretty cool. I think you could just have this figure be, simply in robot mode or vehicle mode, and it's, a very good display type of figure. It looks incredible to just have around. His accessories, the electro whips, are actually such a cool gimmick. I just love how you can just take the fingers and just, place the whip in, or you can even have him hold it if, you're feeling like it for whatever reason. I honestly like this figure a lot, and it kind of breaks my heart that I need to keep on, hampering on some of its negatives, because the reason why I collect figures is because I think they look cool. And this guy fits all the requirements, but he's one of those figures that I rather see than rather, use for stop motions, play with or whatever. I don't play with my figures, I just keep them on my shelf. But this is one of those figures that just fits my, niche of being a Transformers collector, that just collects figures just for the fun of it, and just because I think they're neat, just having them hanging on my shelf. Because I feel like he's mostly the type of figure that's made to be seen, not exactly interacted with. And I think that's the best way to describe this guy. Try use him and you might break something, like I did. But if you keep him like this, a figure that's just there for people to look at, or even a figure that's there to just go alongside and, display your Autobot movie collection, I mean, I think he works pretty well in that regard. But as for everything else, he kind of struggles with. Anyways, before we move on to transformation and all of that, I want to show you guys the articulation. Of course, the little wings on the back, you can move them from side to side, you can twist them. The head, yeah, I mean, you can rotate it, left, right, up, down, though not much down. I'm sure if you can turn it all the way back. I wouldn't recommend doing that because I feel like it's about to burst if I do that. So just keep it like that. I mean, arms can move up and down from every direction pretty much. You can do a twist with them. That's really neat. As for the hands themselves, you got a small joint here which moves it up and down. The chest, it can be rotated to have this really cool kind of look. It's actually very smooth the way he does that, the little twist. And it looks cool. It reminds me of Ratchet from the first movie. That's very cool. And the legs, I know, I messed with them before. Yeah, I'm sorry. The chest keeps on moving when I do that because the way I'm holding it. Yeah, I mean, you can move this from side to side like this to get some karate moves for Jolt, which is it's a sentence I never thought I would say. And I mean, because of the balancing and all the cable he has there, it's very hard to do. You can move this up, down, but when you move it down, of course you got the issue of this little part colliding with the backpack. I mean, you can move this more on the side and you can actually move the leg back, but it looks awkward. It looks more like a ballerina. Which is another sentence I never thought I would say regarding Joe. Oh my god, he can actually do that pose really well. Oh wow, yeah. What did I tell you about the poses, guys? The legs here, he has I would say kind of chicken leg syndrome. This, you can move it forward, you can move it back, and the leg itself, you can also move it forward and move it back. This is all, of course, to make the transformation simpler. And, take the fingies, you put them into here, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. I recommend just putting the fingers away if you're gonna use this for stop motion, but if you're gonna display it, sure, leave the fingers there. Anyways, time for the moment you all been waiting for, and the moment I've been dreading for, the transformation. And I'll display it through the magic of stop motion while explaining how it's done. So did you catch all that? Oh well, I'll just go over it really slowly this time. First things first, fold the little wings, put them together, like so, twist the figure around, bring the lower section of the car panel down and connect to the bottom, like this, then fold the two parts of the front of the car together, so they can connect. Then turn the figure around. Then bring up the torso and bring up the car back cable. When doing this, flip the shoulders around and start bringing the arms together. Turn the figure around And in this section, you gotta be really careful with the arms. Move the hands to the side so they can fold in behind the car panel. Then tighten both halves of the car panel. I should also mention at the bottom, also flip open the car wheels and place them straight forward. Then connect the two halves together. Do it one at a time though, not at the same time. It's gonna make your job easier, and make sure that each hand gets tapped properly into the center. Then you can connect the two halves. As for the car wheels, bring them up, straighten up a bit more. Turn the figure around and straighten up the feet of the car so they are lining up with the front. Basically like this, and flip the wheels at the front too. Get the legs inside the car, and here's where you start connecting everything. Make sure that everything taps, but don't apply too much force, could be a bit risky for the figure, so try and do it as slowly as possible. And bam, you got your vehicle mode. That wasn't so bad, was it? Vehicle mode, ridiculously accurate. The vehicle mode is amazingly accurate. It has some of those like small gaps I told you about that I know some people are not gonna like. You can try and, you know, put pressure on them and squeeze them so it, you know, it taps, but I don't want to risk it, you know. There is some of that on this side, there's some of that not on this side. It's kind of weird. Maybe I didn't like, you know, do it too well in the transformation, but then again, that just like goes and speaks to the whole thing about this guy not being that much fun to transform. He's decently fun, but you know, just be careful. You gotta be really careful. As you can see, here's like all the robot parts at the bottom. I think they did a good job behind them. I like especially what they did with the hands and the shoulders here. Very creative, very unique, even though it's very problematic, very hard to get this done at first, but once you get the gist of it, it's like it's not as fast, you know, as I thought it was. And again, Carmo looks amazing, really good. Well guys, that's it for this video. Those were my thoughts on Studio Series 75 Jolt, the good, the bad, and everything in between. Personally, I give this figure a final rating of 6 out of 10. I mean, I really like this figure. I think it's one of my favorites just because of the way it looks and stuff like that. But there's so much stuff that I also don't like about it. I feel like the transformation is not that much fun. I don't like the positioning for some of the accessories here. The legs are a bit wonky, like the pulse, and yeah, the arms are a bit weak sometimes. But despite its flaws, I think this figure is pretty cool. Like, there's a lot of like stuff that I know movie fans are gonna like, and if you're more of a, you know, completionist, collectionist, of the type of guy who just collects Transformers figures just because, you know, you think they're cool and you're not gonna use them for like stop motion like I did or stuff like that, I do recommend getting this figure. But if you're gonna use it for stop motion, just beware, there are some flaws with it and it might be a bit frustrating to work with at times. I know I had that problem while I was working on that particular stop motion, but besides that, pretty solid figure. I like it despite its flaws. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Hopefully you'll enjoy my first toy review. I might make a few more. Next up, I might make Studio Series No, because I recently got him. I got him yesterday by the time of this recording. So if you guys like this video and I see a lot of support, I'll do a follow-up to it. But yeah, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in the next toy review or video or whatever I decide to do. You never know nowadays. Anyways, take care and bye, guys.